Day 11. Melody. Have you gotten a call? Marinette asked. Luca was anxiously waiting for a call from the Broadway producers. Not yet, he said glumly, taking a sip of his coffee. I'm sure you'll get it soon, Marinette frowned, but said optimistically. I don't think I've been this worried about something since the first time I asked you out, Luca said with a deep laugh. Marinette smiled. I don't blame you. I don't really give that good of signs, and being friendly kinda gives me a reputation of being a flirt. I swear I'm not, she lamented. Luca shook his head and laughed. Oh, I wouldn't say you are one, though. I am fine if you are one to me, he joked, and Marinette giggled and leaned forward towards him across the counter. Are you excited to meet Sass, though? She asked. Luca nodded his head. Of course. And he was. Any friend of Marinette's was a friend of his. They heard the bell ring, and Marinette wiped her hands on the towel and walked towards the register for the new customer. Hi, what can I get you? She said in a bright and cheery voice. Looking at the girl, Marinette held in a yelp because this one was that rude girl that had come in so many months ago, and 2, she had been staring at Luca way too much for Marinette's liking. And for good reason, Marinette had a jealous streak and mild trust issues. Luca! I didn't know you came here, Lila lamented with a sly grin and batted eyes. Marinette's fingernails were being pressed into her palm, and she was getting a little bit nauseous. The sight of this girl, not lovely to her. Hello, Lila, Luca said. His voice was even, but his sharpened eyes were a bit more expressive. Marinette cleared her throat, making the brunette look back at her with a mildly annoyed look in her eyes. Sorry, there is something in my throat, Marinette said coolly. What would you like? Her voice was dripping with false sweetness. A strawberry Italian soda, Lila said quickly, turning back towards Luca. Marinette gave a small glare to the back of Lila's head, making Luca dart his eyes at her and cover a smile. Did you hear about the business trip? Lila said excitedly. Luca cocked his head to his side and knitted his eyebrows together. No, he said uncertainly. Oh, well, soon we have to go and supervise an event, Lila informed him. She was so cheery. You guys work together? Marinette asked, drawing the attention to her. She felt her stomach flip, and Lila turned around with a mildly menacing look on her face. Yeah, we're partners. The company is sending us to New York together. Lila sneered. Marinette buzzed her lips and tried to keep from snapping back because that would be rather unprofessional. Wait, so it's just us? Luca asked. Lila whipped around to him and said an excited yes. Oh, Luca said flatly and took another sip of his coffee. The black-haired girl felt a headache begin to form. My God, this girl's voice was annoying. Marinette grimaced, feeling bad for him. Lila was a rude person, and clearly, and she was also childish from what Luca had told her. She couldn't imagine having to work with her. They told me early, Lila bragged. Luca raised an eyebrow. Really? Why? He asked, and Lila shrugged. Oh, I guess they just really like me, she cheered, leaning towards Luca. Marinette gritted her teeth and smashed the lip on the cup. Marinette was a nice girl, but for a multitude of reasons, she didn't like the idea of Lila being too close to Luca. Even though they were work partners and that she couldn't do anything about, just the way that Lila studied him during his performance months ago, yeah, that was enough to flare a dormant jealous streak in her. The half-Chinese and half-Parisian barista set down the coffee and tapped her fingers loudly on the counter, plastering a fake smile on her face while Lila turned around. "Here you go," she chirped, and Lila smiled back, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. The brunette stood in her place for another second, and then grabbed the cup and turned to bid goodbye to the person she'd seen in like less than 15 minutes. When the bells chimed and the store closed, Marinette dropped her cherry facade and groaned. "So that's the infamous, overly talented work partner," Marinette said in a tight tone, and Luca nodded solemnly. "In the flesh," he sighed. Marinette leaned over the counter. "Can I just say, I don't think I'm a fan." Luca raised an eyebrow, a small mischievous smile growing on his face. "I thought you were all nice," he said, and Marinette shrugged. The smile on his face grew. "Are you jealous?" he asked, and Marinette gasped. "No, I am not," she defended herself loudly. "I am in no way jealous. I just don't like her. And there's no reason to be jealous. I'm not jealous of..." Marinette sputtered, but stopped when she noticed Luca was laughing. "I'm only teasing," he said with a kind smile. Marinette pouted at him, causing him to laugh even more. "But for the record, it's fine if you're jealous." Marinette rolled her eyes in a playful manner. "You have to update me on your business trip when you find out what's going on with it." Marinette changing the subject didn't make it past Luca, but he moved on as well to the new topic nonetheless. "I will," he promised, and Marinette smiled happily. Days later, Marinette was anxiously waiting by the door. She was pacing back and forth. The reason being is that a package was coming. A very important package. They were the logos that she designed for her future design studio. Marinette had sent out an order to a custom sticker shop, and it would be arriving by 4:30, and it was already 4:18. The truck had to come soon. Luca and Plag were to come by at 4:45, and so she prayed that they would be late. She had made what, and she thought, in her humble opinion, was a brilliant plan. A while back, she had created an Instagram account displaying her work that had built up just quite a bit of traction, getting over 3,000 followers in the matter of months. It was her way of, testing the waters. Marinette had to make sure it wouldn't fail. Now, with the stickers, she could open an online store and then transfer it to a real boutique. Marinette hoped that the online store would do well. Everything depended on whatever came before it and all. If she didn't have certain proof it would work, then she was not going to do it. Another great thing about starting online was that she was anonymous. No one could come to the cafe and bash her. Her friends wouldn't try and announce her work to the world before said world would accept it. There were no rotten tomatoes and squashes that could be thrown at her, or dirty looks that could be sent her way. Though the former situation was kinda a reach. Marinette could do everything by herself, and even shut it down if she wanted to. Sounds of a truck cut through Marinette's thoughts, and she jumped. "It's here!" she shrieked, excitedly to no one else. When the sounds of a large truck taking off faded away, she ran out of her house and opened her mailbox to retrieve the black package. "Yay!" she squealed, bringing it back to the house. Ripping open the bag in her room, the 250 stickers that only were 21 euros, which was such a good deal. The logo, her creation, was beautiful. It was one of the best drawings that Marinette had ever made. Ladybug Studio was written in big, curly letters with little drawings of wire mannequins, hearts, ladybugs, sewing machines, needles, and threads all around it. Marinette sighed with relief and joy over how well it had turned out. "It's only the beginning," she whispered to herself. Marinette rushed downstairs to frost a cake that she had made for Sass and Luca. Of course she had to make something. That's just how she was. If someone was coming over, she would make something for them to eat. Luckily, she had a long list of repertoire of sweets and snacks. Being the daughter of two bakery owners had its perks. She had just finished the cake and stuck it in the fridge when a door knock was heard. "Coming!" she called. Opening the door, she was met with Luca's bright blue eyes and crinkled into a wide smile. "Hello. I hope I'm not early," he said. Marinette shook her head and motioned for him to come inside. "Not at all." "Hello, friends," a voice called right as Marinette was about to close the door. "Sass!" Marinette said excitedly, opening the door again. "I'm glad I caught you before you closed the door," he joked. Luca smiled warmly at him, and they shook hands. "I heard you knew a thing or two about Broadway," Sass said, sitting down at the table. "Yes, I majored in musical performance, declared guitar, and minored in acoustic and electric," Luca explained. Sass nodded. "I wish I could play the guitar. I tried as a kid. Hurt too much. Could never develop the calluses." He sighed. Luca sent him a smile. "That's okay. Your singing and dancing must be excellent. I have 2 left feet." Marinette smiled from the kitchen. She had left and let them talk to each other. Even after just 15 minutes, they had begun to chatter excitedly about music and schooling. It was very sweet. Plag wasn't one with many friends, so for Marinette to find someone who would mesh so well with him was a miracle. Then again, meeting Luca at all was a wonderful miracle from God in itself. "We played that piece too, albeit I was in the pit," she heard Luca say. Suddenly, a phone started ringing. "Sorry, that's mine," Lucas apologized. He looked at the caller ID and back at his friends. "Can I take this? It's my agent." With a nod from Marinette, he went to the living room to take the call, and Sass turned around with a curious look on his face. "Luca was waiting for a call from a show he had a call back for," she explained. Sass nodded his head, and Luca came back to the table after a few short minutes and sat down silently. "Luca?" Marinette asked, concerned. He looked at her with a defeated look in his eyes. Oh. Marinette pulled towards him and wrapped her arms around his neck in a hug. He put a hand up to rest on her arm, still not saying a word. Sass breathed. "I know that look," he said gently, and Luca nodded. "I'm sorry," Marinette said softly. Luca only gripped tighter onto her arm. Abruptly, Sass snapped his fingers together and began to type furiously into his phone. "I have a friend that works for the mall. They hire musicians and bands on the weekends for the mall. I think I can get you a gig," Sass said. Some of the hope came back into Luca's eyes, and he lifted his head up a little bit, just a bit. "Really?" he answered. Sass nodded his head. "Yes." Marinette broke out into a smile. "That's awesome," she mused. She felt Luca breathe. "Thank you so much," the blue and black-haired man said. "Can you send me a demo? They're intrigued," Sass said. "Yeah." Marinette felt her smile grow, and she let go of Luca and walked towards the kitchen. "Got it," Sass announced. "Thank you for the help, even though we just met like 30 minutes ago." Luca laughed, and Sass smiled broadly. I think this calls for a cake," Marinette chirped, making Sass's eyes grow wide. "You," he said, "are an angel." When Marinette broke out the cake and cut it into slices. "I'll say you're welcome to you and your sweet tooth," she laughed. Well, I guess they were right when they said that when one door closes, another opens. Luca laughed, no trace of the previous disappointed look that he had on before. You can say that again, Marinette said, looking at Luca sweetly before taking a bite of cake. He reflected the same warm smile. Glad I could be of help. Sass grabbed a second slice. Man, did this guy like sugar. We are gonna make great friends, he stated. Luca nodded. Agreed. Luca ate a forkful of cake and hummed a small melody. It was clear that Sass noted it because he pointed at Luca. I like that. You should write it into a song, Sass said. Luca looked up surprised, but he spoke calmly. Really? Sass nodded his head. I might just do that, Luca decided. You know, I'm actually kind of glad the Broadway thing didn't work out. I'm no dancer, Luca joked. Sass barked a laugh. Well, like you said, when one door closes, another opens. Music in the Cafe, a Lukanette alternate universe month-long fanfiction. Each day will be based on a writing prompt from the Lukanette September 2019 calendar. I do not own this calendar. I will be linking the Tumblr post I found it in the description box below. Thank you for reading, listening, or watching. Please enjoy.